Hello, my name is Mark Saunders. This is a YouTube video presentation on Harvard referencing, and it's focusing on journal articles and how to reference them. It's one of a series of video presentations on Harvard referencing, and I'd really be grateful if you looked at the others as well. Within this one, it's one of the series of presentations which I have on my YouTube channel, Mark Saunders on Research Methods, and you can see the link to this on the bottom left-hand corner of each of the screens. In this video presentation, which is about Harvard referencing, I'm going to start off by giving a brief overview of Harvard style. I'm then going to talk about how you reference journal articles in the main text of the work you're writing, be it a thesis, a dissertation, or indeed an essay or journal article. And then I'm going to look at referencing journal articles in the list of referencing. I'm going to then talk about where you find the information you need to put into references, and then finish up with selected reading. And just to remind you, this is one of a series of presentations which go into detail on Harvard referencing. And the photo on the right is Harvard University in the States. Let's start by having a brief overview of how we reference journal articles using Harvard referencing. We do this using an author date system. This identifies cited documents, in this case journal articles, in the main text using the author's or originator's name and their date. So, for the paper on the right, which has three authors, we say Jabali, the first author, et al., which means and the others, and then we give the date, 2023. At the end of our document, the references are listed alphabetically and consistently. However, Harvard referencing does not have a definitive benchmark. In this way, it's unlike the APA style of referencing, and so variations exist. In this video presentation, we're going to be using the variation of Harvard referencing, which is in my textbook written with Phil and Adrian, Research Methods for Business Students, and we're going to be using the referencing as listed in Appendix 1. So when we get to listing them at the end of the text, we give the authors' names and their initials, in this case Jabali, Di Domenico and Saunders, the date of referencing, then we have the title of the article, the journal in which it was published in italics, the volume number, the part number, and then the pages. Let's look at this in a bit more detail for referencing journal articles in the main text. And when we do this, journal articles are referenced in the main text the same way, whether they're print copies, facsimiles, so that means an exact copy but available online, online copies, and online copies which are published online first before they actually get into the journal with a volume number and part number. And they're referenced this way whatever the language. So, for a journal article which has one author, in the main text we would either reference it Saunders, in other words the name of the author and then the date, or alternatively we give the name of the single author and then followed by a comma and then the date. For two authors we would have a variety of possibilities. We could say, as for the journal article on the right hand side, Saunders and Townsend, using the word and then the date. Or we could have Saunders and Townsend, this time with a comma and the date. Or we could use an ampersand instead of the and then have the comma or not the comma. So we have varieties of the way we can reference in the main text. The key is to be consistent, whichever one of these we choose. When it comes to 3+ authors, as we saw in the previous slide, rather than listing all the authors in the main text, we use et al. And here we can either have et al. And then straight to the date, or we can italicize et al. And we may or may not put a comma. So as you can see, there are a wide number of varieties, and the crucial thing is to be consistent between them. We're now going to look at referencing journal articles in the list of references at the end. And there are a number of things we need to think about here depending on the actual nature of the journal article. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different types of journal article and how we might reference them. And this time on the slide, what I've done is on the left hand side I've given a general format, and on the right hand side I've given an example. So let's start off with print or facsimile forms which are online. So this is either paper or online, where the replica online is exactly the same as if it was in print. And for these we put the family name and initials for 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. authors, the year in which it was published in brackets. Then we have the title of the article, which does not have speech marks around it in this example, and then the journal name, which is in italics, the volume number, the part number, and the pages. And so here we can see an example of that for the article we were looking at earlier by Zenib Jabali, Maria Laura Di Domenico, and myself on starting up, not slowing down social entrepreneurial intentions in later working life. The journal for this was the International Small Business Journal. It was published in volume 41, number 3, and the page numbers are 239 to 346. Sometimes the journal, or indeed your university, will ask you to give details of the database where you accessed this facsimile copy. In other words, details of the online database. And so this is added to the reference at the end in square brackets. And here we say the day, the month and year in which it was accessed, and then the name of the database. So in this case, the article by Celine Rojon, Almuth McDowell and myself, which was published in 2011, was actually accessed on the 6th of April 2018, and it was accessed from the database Psych Articles. Increasingly, journals are publishing articles online first. This means they publish them in facsimile copy, so it looks just like a print version online before it's actually been given a part number or volume number in the journal. This means the ideas are out quickly and the article's the same. As I said, it just doesn't have a part number or volume number. If you're using an online first article, you access it, obviously, and then you reference it in the normal way, having the family name and initials for 1, 2, 3 plus authors, the year, the title of the article, the journal name, and then you have to say where it's available at, either using the DOI, that's the Digital Object Identifier, or the internet address. And then once again, you give the day, month and year when it was accessed. So a recent article by one of my colleagues, Neve Abigail, myself, Reinhard Backrand and Anil Mishra, has been published online first in 2024. So we can see the reference coming up here. Once again, we have the title of the article. We then have the journal in which it's published in italics, and then we say where it's available. In this case, we've chosen to give the Digital Object Identifier, which is that long number, and then when it was accessed. The final form of journal article you may wish to reference is when it's online, but there's no print or facsimile form available. So it's only available online, and it doesn't look like print, and it's not a facsimile of something that looks like a journal article. In these cases, we reference it in pretty much the same way, with family name, initials for 1, 2, 3 plus authors, the title of the article, the journal name in italics, the volume number and the part number, and then we say where it's available, either at the DOI or the internet address, and then when it's been accessed in terms of day, month and year. And in this case, I put an article by K. Yang and A. Banamar, published in 2018 on quota sampling as an alternative to probability sample and experimental study. This was published in Sociological Research Online, so the journal name is in italics, and we have a volume number and a part number, but no page numbers. And in this case, we've given the internet address where it's available and the date it was accessed. The crucial thing is knowing where to find the information for referencing journal articles in the list of references at the end. So what I've done here is I've taken a screenshot of the first page of one of the journal articles I wrote a few years ago. And so the information we need is listed down the left-hand side. Author or authors, date of publication, title of the article, the journal name, the volume and part numbers of the journal, the page numbers, and we may or may not need the DOI, so I've put that in there just in case. The authors are pretty much normally listed under the title, so we can see that there. The date of publication varies from where it would be, but let's have a look at the detail that's at the bottom, which I've just enlarged. And here we can see that the date of publication is given there, and it's actually fall or autumn 2017. Title of the article is pretty obvious, it normally comes at the beginning. The journal name is normally at the bottom of each page, and here we can see it's Human Resource Development Quarterly. Volume and part numbers in this case are given at the bottom of the page, and we can see there volume 23, part number 3. Page numbers, well, the first page is at the bottom. We'd have to skim through to get the last page. And for this article, the Digital Object Identifier, or DOI, is also at the bottom of that list. And just so that you've got it, this source for this is Saunders et al. 2017, and it's page 401. In terms of selected reading, Neville's book, The Complete Guide to Referencing and Avoiding Plagiarism, talks about Harvard referencing in chapters 9 and 10. I've already referred to this, but my own book with Phil and Adrian, Research Methods of Business Students, gives a lot of detail on referencing in Appendix 1. I would also like to stress there are other YouTube video presentations on different aspects of Harvard referencing which you can link to as well. Please do also go to my YouTube channel more generally, where there's an increasing number of videos on methods and methodology, and if possible, please do subscribe.